begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 3, entitled Krishna is the Source of All Incarnations, Text 29. Janmaguhyam Bhagavato Ya etat prayato naraha Sayam pratar granan bhaktya dukkha gramad vimuchyate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Vishwa Guru Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Suta Goswami continued, whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead has declared that anyone who knows the principles of the transcendental birth and activities of the Lord will go back to Godhead after being relieved from this material tabernacle. So, simply knowing factually the mysterious way of the Lord's incarnation in this material world can liberate one from material bondage. Therefore, the birth and activities of the Lord, as manifested by Him for the welfare of the people in general, are not ordinary. They are mysterious, and only by those who carefully try to go deep into the matter by spiritual devotion is the mystery uncovered, discovered. Thus, one gets liberation from material bondage. It is advised, therefore, that one who simply recites this chapter of Bhagavatam, describing the appearance of the Lord in different incarnations, in sincerity and devotion, can have insight into the birth and activities of the Lord. The very word vimukti or liberation indicates that the Lord's birth and activities are all transcendental. Otherwise, simply by reciting them, one could not attain liberation. They are therefore mysterious, and those who do not follow the prescribed regulations of devotional service are not entitled to enter into the mysteries of his births and activities. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, here in the shloka, the Phalashruti, what is the result of chanting and hearing about the various incarnations of the Supreme Lord as presented in this chapter? That is mentioned in this shloka. Janma guhyam bhagavato ya etat prayato naraha sayam pratar grinan bhaktya dukkha gramad vimuchyate. Janma means the appearance of the Lord in his various incarnations. Bhagavataha, of Lord Krishna, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Guhyam, Guhyam means it is very confidential. Prabhupada translates here as mysterious. It is not easy to understand. That is the meaning of Guhyam. Janma Guhyam Bhagavataha. Bhagavataha Janma Guhyam. The activities and the especially the appearance of the Lord and his various incarnations in this material world, they're all guhyam, they're all mysterious, not easy to understand. Ya etat prayato naraha. Ya means yaha, anyone. Etat, all these. Prayataha, carefully. Naraha, human beings, man. Sayam prataha, sayam means the evening. Sayam sandhya, we say, that is evening time, the dusk time. Prataha means the morning time. Prata kala, usha kala means the dawn, the morning time. Ya etat sayam pratar grinan. Grinan means one who recites, reciting bhaktya with devotion. So here the recommendation of Suta Goswami is one must chant and hear about the activities of the appearance of the various incarnations of the Lord, which are all very mysterious, guhyam, every day in the morning and in the evening. One must recite these verses that we just now read in the first in this chapter, from the beginning, from the first shloka, about all the incarnations of the Lord. Bhaktya, with devotion, one should chant. Then what will happen if you recite about the appearance of all these incarnations every day with devotion in the morning and in the evening? Dukkha gramad vimuchyate. Dukkha means miseries. Dukkha gramat means all kinds of miseries. Adibhautika, Adidaivika, Adhyatmika. All kinds of miseries. Miseries caused by one's own body and mind, they are called Adhyatmika miseries. Miseries caused by other living entities, they are called Adibhautika miseries. Miseries caused due to the higher forces of nature, they are known as Adidaivika miseries. All these three kinds of miseries, Dukkha Gramat, Vimuchyate. Muchyate means to become free. Vimuchyate, Vishesha Rupena Muchyate. V stands for Vishesha, special. One gets relief from all these dukkha grama, from all the different kinds of miseries of life. In other words, Vimuchyate here means not simply becoming free from the miseries of material existence, but one will attain liberation from this material existence altogether. That is the power of reciting about the activities, the appearance of various incarnations of the Lord. So, whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord, Janma Guhyam Bhagavataha Grinan, he recites with devotion, Bhaktya, in the morning and in the evening, Sayam Prataha Prayato Naraha, he gets relief from all miseries of life. Dukkha Grama Vimuchyate. That is the meaning of this shloka. So that means just by carefully, prayataha, grinan, carefully reciting about the appearance and the activities of these various incarnations of the Lord, which are all very mysterious, one can attain liberation. Now, this reminds us of the shloka that Krishna speaks in the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, immediately after the very famous verse Yada yada hi dharmasya, and after that, paritranaya sadhunam. After that, Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. He says, O Arjuna, one who understands the transcendental nature, divyam, of my appearance and my activities in this material world. Janma karma chame divyam. If one understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and my activities in this material world, then such a person, upon giving up his material body, he does not have to come back again to this material world, but he will come back to me. Mam eti. Mam eti means he will come back to me. So Prabhupada explains that just by understanding the transcendental activities of the Lord in this material world and the transcendental appearance of the Lord in this material world, one can go back to Godhead. So just by understanding hmm, how Krishna appeared in this material world, if we understand it properly, as per the standard parampara understanding given by the acharyas, if we understand that, then we become eligible to go back to Godhead. In fact, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that the Lord compiled all these Vedic scriptures, which are full of narrations about the various activities of the Lord and the appearance of various incarnations of the Lord in this material world. Why did he compile all these Vedic scriptures? To give us an opportunity to hear about the Lord. Because simply by hearing about the Lord, our consciousness becomes purified, it becomes elevated to Krishna consciousness. We develop love for Krishna and we become eligible to go back to the spiritual world. So even though we have forgotten the Lord and we are trying to enjoy independent of the Lord in this material world, but the Lord is so magnanimous, He's so merciful towards all of us that He has compiled these Vedic scriptures in His incarnation as Vyasadeva. And through these Vedic scriptures, we get to hear about the narrations of Krishna's appearance and activities in this material world. In fact, a devotee's life should be devoted simply to hear about the Lord and his various activities. Bhagavatam is full of that, full of narrations, pure narrations about the activities and appearance of various incarnations of the Lord. In fact, Parikshit Maharaj, when he got to know that he's going to die in 7 days because of the uh, Dvija Shapa Rupam, because of the curse that came from the son of a Brahmana, Parikshit Maharaj was not at all feeling sorry. He immediately gave up all his attachment to his material possessions. He gave up his royal throne and he retired to the bank of river Ganga and he decided to fast till death. And then he began to inquire from various saintly persons there, what is the duty of a person who is destined to die? What are his activities? What should he actually be doing? And at that time, all of them suggest that it is best to hear about the appearance and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this way, you will be able to fix your mind on the Lord. And when you fix your mind on the Lord and you give up your body, you will surely go back to Godhead. This was the suggestion given by all the bona fide sages. And at that very time, very moment, the great personality, the son of Vyasadeva, Srila Shukadev Goswami, walks into the assembly and he is requested by Parikshit Maharaj, I'm going to die in 7 days and I request you to please speak the pastimes of the Lord in detail. I want to hear, I want to receive the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from your lotus mouth. And Shukadev Goswami immediately accepts. And for the next 7 days and nights, without any break, continuously, Shukadev Goswami narrates Bhagavatam and Parikshit Maharaj hears that Bhagavatam. And at the end of 7 days, Parikshit Maharaj says, now let death come. I don't mind because I have fully fixed my mind on the lotus feet of Krishna just by hearing about his wonderful activities from you, O Shukadev Goswami. I cannot express my thanks and gratitude to you in mere words. You have done a great service to me by narrating Bhagavatam. And when Shukadev Goswami started to narrate, when the news spread all over the universe that Shukadev Goswami is going to speak Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj on the banks of Ganga, All great personalities decided to come there, assemble there, and they also wanted to hear the nectar of Krishna Katha. Vyasadeva himself, who is the father of Shukadeva Goswami, who actually taught Bhagavatam to him, he himself was present. Vyasadeva's spiritual master, Narad Muni, who is a great devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord, he also was present there for 7 days and nights. He did not go anywhere. Even though he is called Triloka Sanchari, he goes everywhere. But when this narration of Bhagavatam was about to take place, he did not want to miss this opportunity. So he also came there. And all, there is a big list of, in the Bhagavatam first canto, there is a big list of all great personalities, great sages who all had assembled there to receive this nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. One must actually receive the the juice, the nectarian juice of Srimad Bhagavatam through the years. And that is the perfection of being born as human beings. In fact, Srila Prabhupada also quotes this Vidyam Bhagavatadin. So, how is one's uh, uh, you know knowledge tested? A person is said to be full of knowledge. A person is said to be completed his vidya, education, if he has actually studied Bhagavatam, if he is able to understand Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam, it is nothing but uh, Amalam Puranam. The 12th canto Bhagavatam says this is pure narration, spotless narration about the activities of the Supreme Lord. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended among the 5 most important activities of bhakti, which every devotee must engage on a daily basis. This Bhagavata Shravanam is so important. Hearing Bhagavatam is so important. Because just by hearing Bhagavatam, our lost connection with the Lord, our consciousness becomes, uh, you know, revived. That is the importance of hearing Bhagavatam. So here Shukadev Goswami is recommending, Suta Goswami is recommending to all of us that every day in the morning and in the evening, carefully, with devotion, one must recite this chapter of Bhagavatam, which contains the narrations of various incarnations of the Lord. And just by doing this, one can become free from all kinds of miseries in this material world. That is a recommendation of Bhagavad Gita and the recommendation of Bhagavatam as well. Right? So, from this we understand that these activities of the Lord which are narrated in the Bhagavatam, they are not fictitious stories. They are not imaginary stories created by somebody. Just by hearing them, one can become free from all material miseries. As later we will see in the same first canto, Shrunvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam. I think we have already discussed this in the second chapter. These shlokas appear. Shrunvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantastho hi abhadrani vidhunoti sudhrut satam. Here it is, there it is mentioned. If you simply hear Krishna Katha every day, what happens? All the abhadrani, the inauspicious things which are seated in our heart, desire to enjoy materially and lording over the other living entities, desire to accumulate material, name, fame, wealth, all of these are actually abhadras. These are inauspicious things, especially for a devotee who wants to make spiritual advancement. These are all not subhadra, these are abhadra, inauspicious. So Bhagavatam says if you simply hear Krishna Katha, Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna, which is Punya Shravana Kirtanaha, simply by hearing and reciting the activities of the Lord, uh, one increases his piety, one increases his devotion towards the Lord. Therefore, the Lord is called Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. When you do that, Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam. Hridayantastho hi abhadrani vidhunoti. Dhunoti means to wash away. Vidhunoti. Vi means Vishesha, specially. Specially, all the inauspicious things which are seated in our heart will be washed away, and we will actually become free from all kinds of material contamination. That is the power of hearing Bhagavatam. We also recite the shloka every day. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. The meaning of this shloka is, if you hear Bhagavatam every day, all the inauspicious things which are seated in our heart will be lost, will be destroyed, will be driven away, and devotional service to the Supreme Lord will be strongly established in our heart. Naishtiki, Nishta means firm conviction. Hearing Bhagavatam will not only cleanse our consciousness, it will also give us full conviction about Krishna consciousness. These are the two benefits we receive just by sitting and hearing Bhagavatam. So, hearing Bhagavatam is so important, and that is why Srila Prabhupada has included this as a part of morning sadhana program. Hearing Bhagavatam every day, so important. So, this particular chapter, which describes about the various avatars of the Lord, we must hear with sincerity and devotion. And Prabhupada says, when we hear that in sincerity and devotion, we can get an insight into the birth and activities of the Lord. So, and another important thing is, Prabhupada mentions here that uh, they are mysterious, and not only by those who carefully try to go, and only by those who carefully try to go deep into the matter by spiritual devotion is the mystery discovered. Guhyam, the word Guhyam is used in the shloka, which means confidential or mysterious. So the activities of the Lord are all mysterious, not easy to understand. So one has to go deep into the subject matter with the help of the Bhakti Vedanta purports given by Srila Prabhupada. Then the mystery can be unlocked. Then we can get an idea about the nature of the Lord and his activities. So, the very word vimukti or liberation indicates that the Lord's birth and activities are all transcendental. Otherwise, simply by reciting them, one could not attain liberation. So, the power of Shravanam, hearing about the Lord, is simply by hearing about the Lord, one can become liberated. That means the subject matter is not ordinary. That is the point. It is all transcendental. Let's go to the next shloka, shloka number 30. एतद्रूपं भगवतो ह्यरूपस्य चिदात्मनः मायागुणैर्विरचितं महदादिभिरात्मनि. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation, Srila Sutta Goswami continued, the conception of the Virat universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having form. But factually, the Lord has no material form. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The conception of the Lord, known as the Vishwarupa or the Virat Rupa, is particularly not mentioned along with the various incarnations of the Lord, because all the incarnations of the Lord mentioned above are transcendental, and there is not a tinge of materialism in their bodies. There is no difference between the body and self as there is in the conditioned soul. The Virat Rupa is conceived for those who are just neophyte worshippers. For them, the material Virat Rupa is presented, and it will be explained in the second canto. In the Virat Rupa, the material manifestations of different planets have been conceived as his legs, hands, etc. Actually, all such descriptions are for the neophytes. The neophytes cannot conceive of anything beyond matter. The material conception of the Lord is not counted in the list of his actual forms. As Paramatma or Super Soul, the Lord is within each and every material form, even within the atoms, but the outward material form is but an imagination, both for the Lord and for the living being. The present forms of the conditioned souls are also not factual. The conclusion is that the material conception of the body of the Lord as Virat is imaginary. Both the Lord and the living beings are living spirits and have original spiritual bodies. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So here it is said, Etad Rupam Bhagavataha Hi Arupasya Chidatmanaha. Arupasya. Okay, let us try to understand this. Etad Rupam. All these forms which were described so far, the different incarnations of the Lord, Bhagavataha, of the Supreme Lord, they are all transcendental. Why? Because Arupasya, the Lord is Arupa. The Lord has no material form. This we have to understand very carefully. Whenever the Vedic scriptures say that the Lord is formless, it means that the Lord has no material form. Negation of material form does not imply negation of his original spiritual form. So when we say the Lord is Arupasya, that means he has no material form made by the elements of material nature. His form is transcendental. The Lord has a form, but that form is not like our present material bodies. His form is Satchidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means he has a form, and that is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. It is eternal, full of knowledge, and blissful. Our present material forms are Achit and Asat and Nirananda. Our present material forms are temporary, they are not Sat, they are not eternal, and they are not full of knowledge. In fact, there is only ignorance. And also, our present material body is Nirananda, full of miseries and diseases and all those things. That is the nature of the material bodies. So, when we say the Lord is Arupa, that means he has no material body like we have currently. In fact, we also have our own spiritual body. Originally, we all have spiritual body. In the same way, the Lord also has spiritual form. All these incarnations that we discussed so far in this chapter, all these forms are all transcendental forms. They're not material forms. For example, when we discussed about Matsya Avatara, we said the Lord appeared in this form as a fish, but that is nothing like the fish that we see in this material world. That form of fish is transcendental, which the Lord accepted, which the Lord has. These are eternal forms. Matsyavatara is a eternal form of the Lord, which descended down to this material world to bless the great devotee King Satyavrata. So the point is, when it is said Arupasya, it means the Lord has no material form. And all these rupas, all these forms that we discussed so far in this chapter, the various incarnations, they are all transcendental, they are all spiritual, original forms of the Lord. And the Lord is called Chidatmanaha, Chit Atmanaha. He is full of knowledge, he is transcendental personality. Maya, Maya Gunair Virachitam Mahadadibhiratmani. Maya means the material energy, Gunaihi by the qualities, Virachitam manufactured, Mahadadibihi within the ingredients of matter, Atmani in the self. So, what is the understanding of this? So, Prabhupada is saying this is about the Mahadadibihi, means the Virat Rupa, the form that the Lord displays, made up of the three modes of material nature, that is called a material form. And what is that form? That is the Virat Rupa, the universal form. This universal form is not Satchidananda Vigraha. It is not transcendental form, but it is a material form. It is an imaginary form, Prabhupada says. What is the idea behind this universal form? Why it is called imaginary form? Because it is to enable the less intelligent neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord's having a form. The beginners in spiritual life, the neophytes, it's very difficult for them to accept a form of the Lord. They think that every form is limited, like theirs. So, to make them understand that the Lord can have a form and that is unlimited, so this description about the Virat Rupa, the universal form, is given in the scriptures. So, for the beginners or for the neophytes who are not acquainted with the principles of Bhakti Yoga, meditation on the universal form of the Lord is recommended. That we shall see again in the beginning of second canto Bhagavatam, when Shukadev Goswami begins to speak Bhagavatam, he talks about this. He talks about the universal form. He says this is for the neophytes, for the beginners, so that they can adjust to the idea that the Lord can have a form and the Lord's form is unlimited. But actually, the Lord has no material form. So the Lord has no material form, but this form is described, universal form is described to be the material form of the Lord, which is all encompassing. Everything that exists within this universe can be seen within the universal form of the Lord. Later on, we will see that the description is given. Like, for example, all the lower planetary systems are discussed to be, are compared to be the legs of the Supreme Lord. The sky is described to be uh, you know, the Nabhi of the Supreme Lord. Like this, there are various descriptions. Hmm? So these are all imaginary forms because the Lord has no material form. Even in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, the universal form of the Lord, Srila Prabhupada explains this point that actually Arjuna was totally convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Arjuna was able to see face to face the original transcendental two-handed form of Krishna. He had no doubt about Krishna's position, but he still requested the Lord to display his universal form because he wanted to drive away all doubts in the minds of materialistic people who may think, oh, Krishna is an ordinary person. For a pure devotee, he is convinced by seeing the two-handed form of the Lord, and he is convinced that he is the Supreme Lord. But for the materialistic people and for the neophytes, they want to see something big and huge and great. Only then they will develop faith in the Lord. And for this purpose, Arjuna requested Krishna to display his universal form. Not for his personal verification, but Prabhupada mentions in the purport there that in the future, people may claim, there may be some impostors who claim themselves to be incarnations of God. So to them, Arjuna is teaching that if somebody claims like this, you should ask that person, can you please display your universal form? Because only God can display the universal form. Only the Supreme Lord Krishna can display this Virat Rupa or Vishwarupa. So this is a litmus test for those who claim that they are God. Display your Virat Rupa like that. So Virat Rupa has got nothing to do with uh, the devotees. The devotees are not interested to meditate on the Virat Rupa. The devotees take pleasure in worshipping the original form of the Lord, Satchidananda Vigraha, and the Acharyas in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, they have established from various authoritative sources that the original form of God is Dvibhuja Shyamasundara Muralidhara. This is the original form of God. Two-handed personality who is a cowherd boy and who has a bluish black complexion and who is always playing a flute. This is the original form of the Lord. And as we discussed in the previous verse, two verses before this, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This original two-handed form of Krishna is the original source of all other incarnations of the Lord. And all the other incarnations that we described, they are also transcendental and original personalities, original forms, and their bodies have got nothing to do with the material energy, right? So here Prabhupada is saying, all the incarnations of the Lord mentioned above are transcendental, and there is not a tinge of materialism in their bodies. Hmm? There is no difference between the body and the self, as there is in the conditioned soul. So, Prabhupada quotes in Bhagavad Gita, in one of the purports in the second chapter, this authoritative statement from the Vedas: Deha Dehi Vibhedeyam Neshware Vidyate Kvachit. In the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no difference. There is no Deha and Dehi Bheda. Bheda means difference. For us, there is a difference in our current material situation in this world. There is a difference between Deha and Dehi. Deha means the body, Dehi means the soul living within this body. Both are two different things. Hmm? But for the Lord, there is no difference between Deha and Dehi. Both are one. That means his body itself is his self. Because the Lord does not accept a material body like how we have done now. We have accepted a material body. Therefore, we are different from the material body. Why have we accepted our material body? Karmana daiva netro. So, by the activities that we have done, the laws of karma have forced us to accept a particular body. Karmana daiva netrena jantur dehopapattaye. The jantu, the living entities, deha upapattaye, accepts a material body. Why? Because of our karmana, because of our past karma. And this is done under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord, Daiva Netrena. And because of this, we have accepted, we are forced by the laws of nature to accept a material body. Therefore, we are different from the body. When we say we have accepted a body, that itself means that we are different from the body. But for the Lord, it is not like that. The Lord has not accepted a body. The Lord descends as He is. Sambhavami Atmamayaya. In the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly says this. By my own potency, I descend to this material world. He is not forced by the laws of nature to come to this material world. So, this is a very important difference between us, the conditioned souls, and the Supreme Lord Krishna and all his other avatars. So we are forced by the agency of Maya to accept a material body, but the Lord is never forced by Maya. He comes by his own sweet will in his original form. Therefore, for him, there is no difference between Deha and Dehi. This we have to understand very carefully. The Mayavadis fail to realize this. That is why they don't accept devotional service. The whole basis of devotional service, why should we serve this form, this Vigraha of Krishna? Because this is originally the Supreme Lord. The form of Krishna is not different from the absolute truth. The form of Krishna itself is the absolute truth. This is a very fundamental principle in Bhakti Yoga. So, without understanding this, when we try to when we try to read the descriptions about the Lord's birth, appearance in this material world, we will become bewildered. Oh, how is the Lord accepting somebody as his parents? How is he accepting this different incarnations, Matsya Kurma? No, the Lord is appearing by his own sweet will, and all his forms are eternal, and there is no difference between Deha and Dehi for him. Right? So, this is about the Virat Rupa. So, here it is said the material conception of the Lord is not counted in the list of his factual forms. So, this Virat Rupa was not mentioned as one of the incarnations which we discussed earlier. Why? Because it is not a eternal form. It is an imaginary form described in the scriptures to facilitate the meditation of the neophytes. So that is the idea. So let us go to the next shloka, shloka number 31. Yatha nabhasi meghaugha Yatha nabhasi meghaugho renurva parthivo nile evam drashtari drishyatvam aropitama buddhibihi. Clouds, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Suta Goswami continues, clouds and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spirit self. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is further confirmed herein that with our material eyes and senses we cannot see the Lord, who is all spirit. We cannot even detect the spiritual spark which exists within the material body of the living being. We look to the outward covering of the body or subtle mind of the living being, but we cannot see the spiritual spark within the body. So we have to accept the living being's presence by the presence of his gross body. Similarly, those who want to see the Lord within their present material eyes or with the material senses are advised to meditate on the gigantic external feature called the Virat Rupa. For instance, when a particular gentleman goes in his car, which can be seen very easily, we identify the car with the man within the car. When the president goes out in his particular car, we say, "There is the president." For the time being, we identify the car with the president. Similarly, less intelligent men who want to see God immediately without necessary qualification are shown first the gigantic material cosmos as the form of the Lord, although the Lord is within and without. The clouds in the sky and the blue of the sky are better appreciated in this connection. Although the bluish tint of the sky and the sky itself are different, we conceive of the color of the sky as blue, but that is a general conception for the layman only. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, very nice shloka, very nice purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is in continuation with the understanding of the Virat Rupa and also about ourselves, about the individual conditioned souls. So here it is said, Yatha nabhasi meghogo, Yatha as it is, nabhasi in the sky, megha oghaha, the mass of clouds in the sky, renur va parthivo anile, renuhu means dust, va as well as parthiva, the muddiness, anile in the air. Evam, thus, in the same way. So here it is, two examples are given. The clouds in the sky, we say they are carried, you know, uh, the sky is cloudy, we say. Meghaugaha. Nabhasi, Nabha means the sky. Nabhasi Meghaugaha. We say the cloud today, the sky is cloudy. And we also say Renurva Parthivo Anile. We also say that the air is dusty, the air is dirty. But actually, these are simply our perceptions only, isn't it? Evam drashtari drishtyatvam aropitam abuddhibihi. Abuddhibihi means by the less intelligent persons. Aropitam, it is superimposed, it is implied, right? So the Prabhupada writes here, clouds and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Actually, there is no connection between the clouds and the sky. The sky is much more, very, very high. It is completely above the clouds. The clouds are very closer to the earth, whereas the actual sky is very, very deep. The sky is so deep. So it appears to us when we see from the earth, it appears that the sky is cloudy. But actually, there's no connection between the clouds and the sky. They're all far apart from each other. In the same way, the air is dirty, we say, because the air is carrying some dust particles. So when we see, it appears that air is contaminated by the dust. No, but the air is just merely carrying the dust. The air has not contaminated, it has not got contaminated by the dirt. They are separate. So in the same way, when we think that we are this body, just because we are living in this body, we are thinking that we are this body. But this is a wrong conception. Abuddhibhi aropitaha. It is simply a conception by the less intelligent people. That is what it is said here. So, the body and the soul, Right now, the soul has taken on a body, but that does not mean the soul has become this material body. We are not this material body. Just like the cloudy sky and the dusty air. It appears that both have got mixed, but they are not got mixed. They are separate. They are separate. This is the idea presented. Now, this Prabhupada explains in the context of the Virat Rupa. So, when we see the Virat Rupa of the Lord, the purpose is very clear. What is the purpose? To facilitate the neophytes to meditate, to get an idea that the form of the Lord is so huge, right? So, Prabhupada is saying that we cannot see the soul present within this body. We only can see the outward body of a person, isn't it? So, what we are seeing, we think to be the reality, but the reality is something different. So, we have to understand the standard instructions given by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, which make us understand the difference between the soul and the body. So, we have to, Prabhupada is saying, so we have to accept the living being's presence by the presence of his gross body. So when we see a living person is walking, he's talking, he's doing so many activities, from that we can understand, oh, inside this person's body, soul is present. That is the inference we have to arrive at. Because just by looking, we cannot see. The soul is not visible to the naked eye, to the material eyes. Isn't it? Similarly, Prabhupada is saying, similarly, those who want to see the Lord with their present material eyes or the material senses are advised to meditate on the gigantic external feature called the Virat Rupa. Hmm? So for those people who are beginners, who are not well conversant with the transcendental knowledge, for them it is advised that you meditate on the Virat Rupa. By, by studying the Virat Rupa of the Lord, you will understand how the Lord is so powerful, how everything is present within the Lord, how the Lord is sustaining this entire universe. Different features in this universe are nothing but the bodily features of the Lord. This is the idea presented in the Virat Rupa. In the first canto of Bhagavatam, Narad Muni makes a very interesting statement. Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan Ivetaraha, he says. Idam, this, he certainly, Idam hi Vishwam, this Vishwam, definitely, certainly, is Bhagavan. This universe that we are seeing is nothing but Bhagavan. But he also adds, Ivetaraha, but Bhagavan is also Itaraha. He is present outside this Vishwam also. So this is the basis for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Achintya Bheda Abheda philosophy. Simultaneously, the Lord is this material world. At the same time, he is aloof from this material world. How is the Lord this material world? Because this material world is nothing but a manifestation of the Lord's energy. And Lord's energy means Lord only. There is no difference between Lord's energy and the Lord. He is there. Because of the Lord's energy, this entire material world has become manifested. In that sense, this material world is actually Lord only. But apart from this material world, which is His creation, the Lord is present in His original form in the spiritual world. And that is His original form. And He existed even before this material world came into existence. And He will continue to exist even after this material world is annihilated. His form is eternal, whereas this manifestation of this material world is temporary. Narad Muni is explaining this. Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan Ivetaraha. These are all wonderful statements in the Bhagavatam that we have to understand carefully. So, the material world is a result of the interaction of Krishna's energies. Therefore, in one sense, this material world is Bhagavan, is Krishna himself. But Krishna existed even before this material world came into existence. And that is his original form. In the second canto of Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord instructs 4 original verses of Bhagavatam to Lord Brahma. and they are called Chatushloki Bhagavatam. In the very beginning, Lord, the Supreme Lord says, Aham eva sameva gre. In the very beginning, only I existed. In the Upanishads also it is said, Eko Narayana Asit. In the beginning, only the Narayana, the Supreme Lord, existed. Na Brahma, na Ishanaha. It is said, in the beginning, only Narayana existed when nothing was existing in the material world. And at that time, Brahma was not there. Isha, Lord Shiva was not there. Nobody else was there. Na Indra. All other devatas, Indra and everyone were not there. Only Narayana Asit. Only he was present. So that means before this material world came into existence, the Lord was present in his original form. And his form cannot be called material form because before the material world came into existence, before all the material forms came into existence, he was existing. That means his form is something different from material form. This we have to understand very carefully. Therefore, we say he is Satchidananda Vigraha. His form is all spiritual. Now, right now we have got materialized, which can only see material things. Therefore, for the beginners, the neophytes, the description of the Virat, gigantic form of the material Virat Rupa is given in the scriptures. But this is not the original form of the Lord. This we have to understand very carefully. So Prabhupada is giving an analogy here. Suppose the president is going in his car, we say, there is the president going. Even though we are not able to see the president sitting inside the car, just by seeing his car, we can say, oh, president is going. Right? What does it mean? There we are identifying the president and the car with each other, isn't it? Though the president is different from the car, right? When we see that the car of the president is moving, we say president is going, right? Similarly, Prabhupada is saying, less intelligent men who want to see God immediately without necessary qualification are shown first the gigantic material cosmos as the form of the Lord, although the Lord is within and without. So, this Virat Rupa is only for those who want to see the form of the Lord without the qualification of bhakti. Right? At least by studying and meditating upon this Virat Rupa, they may develop a conception of the greatness of the Lord. How great is the Lord? That is the idea. But if we want to see the actual president who is sitting inside the car, then we must have a personal relationship with that president. Isn't it? Without personal relationship with that president, we cannot go and talk to him personally. He's a very busy man. Why will he give his time to us? Right? For the public appearance, he may just come in the car and he may go away. Everybody is seeing car is going, that means president is going. But if we want to meet him personally, we must have a personal relationship with him. And that personal relationship cannot be achieved through the meditation on the Virat Rupa, but that personal relationship with the Supreme Lord is possible only by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness. And how to understand that Bhakti Yoga principles? That we have to understand through a self-realized soul who is already established in a loving relationship with Krishna. And he is called an Acharya, the spiritual master. The spiritual master is Bhagavatottamaha. He is the best among the Bhagavatas. Bhagavatas means those who have got a personal relationship with Bhagavan. They are called Bhagavatas. And the spiritual master is a Mahabhagavata. He is the greatest among such Bhagavatas who have attained personal relationship with Krishna. So he knows the mind of the Lord. He knows the intention of the Lord. When the Lord speaks something, what is his mind? Only a Mahabhagavata, pure devotee, Acharya can know. So we have to take shelter of such a pure devotee, Mahabhagavata Acharya. And he will reveal to us who is Krishna, what is his form, what are his activities. When he says something, what does it mean? All these things are revealed to us by the spiritual master. So without the via medium of the spiritual master, on our own, we cannot understand Bhagavan. Because we are now completely under the influence of the external energy of the Lord, Maya. So that is the meaning. So we have to develop a personal relationship with the Lord, and for that we need the help, the mercy of a pure devotee who is already established in such loving relationship with the Lord. And by his instructions, by his training, we can also become qualified to have a personal relationship with the Lord. So Bhagavatam is presenting to us this opportunity to practice bhakti yoga under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master and come to that stage where we can also have a personal loving relationship with the Lord. That is the speciality. The unique feature of Bhagavatam is this. Bhagavatam is not saying that only certain selected few people can have this privilege of having personal relationship with the Lord. Bhagavatam is not saying only devotees like Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, they were able to see the Lord. All others are eternally disqualified. They cannot see the Lord. No, Bhagavatam is saying you keep on hearing about the activities of the Lord from Bhagavatam. You keep chanting His holy names. You take association of devotees. You take the instructions of the spiritual master seriously and try to follow those instructions. In this way, slowly, slowly, you will make progress in Bhakti Yoga, and you will also be able to have this personal audience with the Lord. It is possible. This is what the Bhagavatam is promising. So, the conception of the universal form is actually for the layman, as Prabhupada is saying, and more important for us, for devotees, to focus on are the transcendental forms of the Lord, especially Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, the original personality of Godhead, from whom all the other incarnations come. So we will continue to read and discuss. Many more interesting things are presented in this chapter. We will continue to read and discuss in the coming sessions. Anyone has any questions or any comments before we close?
Prabhu, I have one doubt. These
Yes.
Vishwarupa or Virat Rupa, Prabhupada says
Yeah.
this is an imaginary. So does it
Yes.
mean this material world is actually an imagination? Because the
Uh,
Vaishnavas, we don't treat this material world as an imagination. The Mayavadis are the ones who treat the world as imagination, isn't it?
yeah.
Means some illusory, something like that. But
Yeah.
material, we the devotees will say that material world is it is an energy of the Lord. This is also true. We
Yeah.
cannot say this is an imagination of life, isn't it?
This material world, the Vaishnava Acharyas say that it is not false, but it is temporary reality. It is temporary. Material world is not false. The Mayavadi says this Jagat is mithya, false. But the Vaishnava Acharyas don't say this. The Vaishnava Acharyas say this material world is not false because it is coming from the Supreme Lord, who is the absolute truth. How can temporary things or false things come? How can false things come from the absolute truth? That is the argument of the Vaishnava Acharyas. Therefore, this material world, it is a reality. It is not fake. It is not false, as the Mayavadis say, but it is a temporary reality. But the universal form is actually, it is imaginary. Universe is reality. Universal form is imaginary. Why it is called imaginary? It has no real existence. It is just for the purpose of giving an object of meditation for the neophytes, right? So it is temporary. Imaginary. Imaginary. It is not real. You will not go and is there for example, the Bhagavatam and Brahma Samhita says there are so many planets in the spiritual world. There are so many Vaikuntha lokas, and in each and every Vaikuntha loka there is a particular predominating personality, one of the expansions of the Lord who is there, and all his devotees are there. They are serving him. You will not find any planet where there is Virat Rupa present. It's not an eternal form. It's an imaginary form. In that sense, it is imaginary. That is what Prabhupada is saying here. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, sure, Prabhu. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other question or comment?
Hare Krishna Babuji.
Hare
Uh,
Krishna Pranam. Yes.
so, yesterday's class, it was said, I think it is a continuation. So, if
Of the previous.
100%
Yeah.
of 78 percent for Jiva's requirement is 78%
Yeah.
for us to visit or to become the eligible to visit the Vaikuntha Loka. But
Yeah.
each and every chapter of uh, Srimad Bhagavatam, where His Divine Grace, Prabhupada, he said that anybody who recite that particular, say for example, where the uh, Virat Purush and its expansion and the Lord Krishna's expansion. So anybody who recites and listen to those recitation from the bona fide gurus or bona fide spiritual master, then he is it is guaranteed that after leaving this body, he will be allowed to participate in the Vaikuntha or any Krishna Loka or any other spiritual sky.
Yeah.
But here it is stated 100% of the 78%. So
78 out of 100.
yeah, we need total of 7. Jiva's qualification is we have to attain 78% because beyond that we cannot go.
Yeah.
So we have to get 100% of the 78% to become
Okay.
eligible. Now
Yeah.
Prabhupada is saying it not only in one uh, chapter, in different chapter also is Divine Grace telling that anybody who listen to Krishna Leelas, the transcendental pastimes, let it be his incarnation or his formation or expansion, then after leaving this body, he is eligible to be able to visit Vaikuntha.
Yeah.
But here you have
Yeah. I understood
stated
your question.
100%.
Yeah. Yes. Understood your question. So the question is, uh, in the previous shloka purport, Prabhupada mentioned that once we become qualified, we acquire 78% of the Krishna's transcendental qualities, we are eligible to go back to the spiritual world. But here in the next shloka, it is also said that anybody who actually recites about the activities and appearance of the various incarnations becomes liberated. So, how do we understand both the statements? They appear to be contradictory. That is a question. So, the answer is when we take up the process of bhakti yoga, we begin with shravanam, we begin with hearing from a bona fide spiritual master. And then we start engaging in bhajana kriya. We chant the holy names, we engage in service of the devotees under the guidance of devotees. The entire program of Krishna conscious training is is designed by the acharyas, designed by Srila Prabhupada in such a way that simply by following this program given by Srila Prabhupada, we acquire the desired qualification necessary to go back to the spiritual world. We don't have to worry so much about how much percentage of 64 qualities I have attained so far. We don't have to worry about all that. Just we have to follow Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Kariyo Aikya Arana Kariho Mane Asha. So Srila Prabhupada has given us certain basic important things that we have to do on a daily basis with great uh, with as much as devotion that we can muster. We must practice this, what Srila Prabhupada said, like chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day nicely, following the four regulative principles, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, taking association of devotees, rendering practical devotional service. All these things, when we practice, Prabhupada will ensure that whatever necessary qualification is required for us, he will give us that and he will take us back to God. Our business is to follow Prabhupada's instructions sincerely, and Prabhupada has promised that if you become my disciple, I will take you back to Godhead. So it is Prabhupada's promise. Our business is to follow Prabhupada's instructions sincerely, and Prabhupada's business is to take us back to Godhead. This is the point. So we don't have to worry so much. On a daily basis, we don't have to check what percentage I have acquired now out of 64. Finally, when you're ready to go to the spiritual world, it will be sure that you would have achieved 78% of the total transcendental qualities. That is the meaning. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Let us stop here. We will meet again in the next session and discuss the coming session, coming shlokas. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय,
Okay,
विश्व गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.
Jai
हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna.